Hi, my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Saturday, May the 11th. It is the Mother's Day long weekend. It is late today, so it's about 8 o'clock at night when I'm recording this. I thought I was going to record it a little bit earlier, but all of the roaming around on a Saturday took longer than I expected. But I wanted to get this video done, and it should be posted by tomorrow, Sunday, so that we could move things along. Yeah, so if you're new to this channel, normally this channel is about the cross-stitching that I've done, as well as the crocheting that I've done, some plans that I enjoy making, some stash quisitioning that I do. That is not going to be this episode. This episode is a special episode all about the Ujamaa Grandma's Fabric and Yarn sale that occurred last weekend at the Garrison Curling Club in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and all about that. So just before I go into all the things that this video is not going to be about, I'm going to tell you, if you're in the greater Calgary area, I just want to put out there, for all the people that are on the email list, you should have already received your email, but this next Stitching at the Library is 1 week from today, Saturday, May the 18th, at the Signal Hill Library between 1:30 and 4:30 p.m. So if you are in the greater Calgary area and you want to come for any, all, part, whatever of that, you do not need to let me know in advance. You're just welcome to drop in. So I just wanted to put that out there. Stitching at the Library, Saturday, May the 18th at the Signal Hill Library between 1:30 and 4:30 p.m. The address for the Signal Hill Library will be in the show notes down below if you need that address. All right. So because this is a special episode, let me explain to you what is not going to happen in this particular Flosstube. I'm calling it Flosstube anyway, because there's stitching related things in here. If you only care about seeing the cross stitching that I've worked on since the last Flosstube, this is not the video for you. You're not going to see any of that. If you only care about the crocheting that I've done since my last video, that's not going to be shown in this video either. If you only care about plans that I'm making for either of my crafts, I'm not going to talk about, well, I'm generally not going to talk about that. There's going to be no big planning section in this one. There should be a little bit of planning in the next one, but not this one. A little bit of planning because I can't help it, but not a lot about planning. If you do not enjoy seeing stash quisitions, this is not the video for you. If you do enjoy seeing stash quisitions of a variety of things, then you probably might enjoy seeing this. I'm going to do the stash quisitioning first, and then talk about stories from me volunteering at the Fabric and Yarn sale. So those stash quisitions first, because if you don't care about the stories will come at the end. All right, with that, let's get into it. First of all, I said to myself heading into this Fabric and Yarn sale that I was going to be well behaved. I don't know that I was well behaved. So I did volunteer on several days at the Fabric and Yarn sale. So I was there sort of for a long weekend at the beginning. I was there all 3 days of the sale. But I did buy my own ticket for the first slot available for the Friday when it opens. And I dutifully lined up half an hour in advance of the opening so that I could be 20th in line with my friend. So we were in the first slot so that we could, run around and do things. So I did have my ticket. We did our usual. We went shopping, we went for lunch, and then I came back and volunteered for the rest of the day until the sale closed that day, as well as all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So yeah, so we were there shopping, and based on the piles that I have around me, I was not well behaved. Not well behaved at all. At all. Not even a little bit. The laughing part is, you know, in some cases, maybe this is a short-term rental, and you might hear about that as we go through things. But anyway, so let's get into what I purchased. I have everything in categories. All right, I'm going to start with fabric because I did okay on the fabric front. So I did pick up, whoops, oh gosh, you can barely see. I did pick up this bag that it said it was one of the Lakeside Linens, you know, 7-piece blah, blah, blahs. So everything that's in here is not a Lakeside, but I do believe that there are several Lakeside linen pieces of fabric in here. They're all small. So ornament size, small project. I've got to sit down and sort of go through and figure out the counts. There's a lot of linen in here. That's okay. Some of this stuff might be up for grabs at the Stitching at the Library. But anyway, so there's this piece of fabric. Now that's a me color. I don't know what I'm putting on it, but I went, okay, I can see me using that. That's a linen. There's this fabric, which is not me at all, which is okay. For the price I paid for this, it was totally fine. This gray. Gosh, I feel like I need to turn down that light, but anyway. A very small piece of this brown, which surprisingly I'm keeping. I do feel like an ornament thingy could go on here. You know, potentially if I were attending a retreat and I were doing a small, that I could do something on here that would be lovely for someone. So although not normally my typical color, this one, this, gosh, I feel like I really do need to turn that light down. Let's see how that works. Again, another piece of cream, small, perfect for ornament size things. Another piece of cream. Like I said, I've got to figure out the counts on these. And a small piece of Silk Weaver. It just says Silk Weaver Limited Edition. It is 32 count Belfast linen. It is a piece of 9 by 13, otherwise known as a fat 16th, which is just lovely. Do I know what I'm putting on this? No, but that's totally my color. And you'll laugh when you see some of the other fabric I got. This piece of turquoise linen, do I have any idea what I'm doing on this? No idea, but it was a really good price. I left the, there was, in that same linen, there was orange and I want to say kind of a brownie yellow that were also available. I didn't get either one of those. This is 28 count teal Jobelin. I'm pretty sure it's 28 because the Jobelins don't come in, there's not a lot of colors that come in the 32. I got this piece of lavender linen, which is a decent size. I think it's a tall half. So I think it's like 18 inches across by the full 55 inches width of the bolt. And then this This has also got to be a 28 count Ujamaa, which is purple. I feel like I should have a piece of white. Okay, it still looks fairly great, but it is a purple. All right. That is the fabric that I bought. From the pattern section of the sale, I picked up these items. My funny story about that is, despite the fact that I was 20th in line, 2025, I wasn't at the very front. It was quite funny because we, you know, because I volunteered in the lead up to that, so I knew exactly where the cross stitching stuff was. we still got to pattern land, and there was a lady going through the box ahead of us, and she did a very good job. She was very good. She knew she had two people that were totally standing over her shoulder watching every pattern that she went through. She was very good. She didn't mind that we were, or she did mind, she didn't let on that she minded that we were totally standing behind her watching her go through the patterns. And my friend and I would kind of, she'd get to one and we'd go, and then she would take it out and set it aside for herself, and we'd go. And then, you know, hey, she was at the box first. That's how shopping works. There were a few things that she sort of passed by, that my friend was like, ooh, ooh, and she graciously handed it over. Sometimes I would be the one going, ooh, ooh, and she would hand it over. So, you know, we clearly had a system worked out. So these are the things that I got from the patterns. So this is Jeanette Douglas's, because I can't, pins and needles. It's to make this little pillow. It, you know, patterns, but it actually has the fabric and the thread in it. There's two kinds of threads that are used, and so both of them are in there. It's also brown fabric, like, and there's one of the colors. We all know there is no chance that I'm going to stitch this on brown. It's not going to happen. Nuh-uh. No way. So it's not like I don't have any fabric in the house. In fact, I just bought some, but anyway. So I don't even know that I'm going to use the fibers that are in here. So this is one where the funny story is it could turn into a 1-year rental, which is what I like to call it. So that I will do this, get my own threads, get my own fabric, stitch it, and donate this back to Ujamaa Grandmas for their next sale, complete with the brown fabric and the threads that are in there. So I also kind of looked and went, this is a really good project to do at stitching at the library because it's small. Theoretically, it shouldn't take me 8 stitching at the libraries to get it completed. So this looks like something relatively simple to do. It's supposed to be made into a little pillow. It's hard to tell from this, but I did take it out and read the instructions. So we can add this to the lovely pile of things that need to be finished into little pillows for that magic day when I go to Cheryl's and she helps me learn how to really do soft finishes. All right. I also picked up, now this one I didn't really look at. I just took it because, you know, it was very economically priced. So this is also a kit. So it's got, so the pattern of the balloons, it's actually got white linen and the threads to do it. So this could also turn into, but it is white. So I would probably use that when I get into it and I really look at it. If it turns out to be DMC threads, I can easily see me just using the DMC colors out of my own stash and returning this also to Ujamaa Grandmas as a donation for next year's sale. This one, the Sweetheart Tree, love, 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 love this. So it's the Noel Quadrille. So it's to make this 4-sided box, Noel. It too is actually a full kit. Brown fabric, so we know I'm not going to be using that. And the threads are in there. They are all DMC colors. So this could also turn into a project where I stitch the project. I don't use the fabric and can easily see myself not using the DMC threads and returning this, donating this next year to Grandma Ujamaa's for next year's sale. All right. Then I picked up from Scissortail Designs, Christmas, Hope, Joy, Love, which you can do. So first of all, I think it looks absolutely horrendous in this cover photo. This cover photo, I am 100% sure does this no justice. So anyway, reds and greens will fix the background fabric. I don't even know what the called for is. Desert sand, which is quite yellow. Anyway, I will never do it on that fabric. Anyway, stay tuned for at some point over the next 10 years when, you know, this makes its way into the to-do list. And then I got an old pattern, old. This is Tulips. How old is it, you say? It's a hand-drawn pattern. The symbols are all hand-drawn. That's how old it is. It's from the 80s, but I still like it. Tulips, I like it. Easter eggs. They've done them all as individuals. I don't know that I would ever do that. I don't know that I enjoy all of them, but I can see doing a series of them in a row. That sounds like it could potentially be like, you know, a Lent project. From Needles Praise, the Garnet Sampler. The next two are slightly entertaining. From the Heritage Collection, Georgian Door, Dublin. I have a problem with doors. I really enjoy them. I can't explain to you why I enjoy these patterns so much, but anyway, so I got that one. And when you see my some of my projects for 2025, you'll laugh. And then they also had from Cross My Heart out of Ireland. Why did I get this? Because there's two doors. There's another red door and then this door. I don't think I necessarily have to do them in those colors. The interesting thing is on the front page, they have them shown on probably what's a cream or antique white background. But on the back, they show the doors that have been stitched on black fabric. Now, I don't necessarily love all the words around them. Anyway, but I got it because it was doors. I know, it's not just houses. I like doors too. And then from Permanent of Copenhagen, this is Sampler 1663 from the Nederlands Openlucht Museum. I probably said that wrong. Again, there are words along here. I don't know that I love the words. Would I necessarily do this and this together? I don't know. I like this. I don't know that I would do this. But for the prices that the patterns were, this came home. Worst case scenario, it can be a shorter term rental. I don't know that I'm prepared to give it up 1 year from now, but it could be a shorter term rental and it could be returned as a donation. And then from Abbey Lane Designs, this is A New Beginning. So all those lovely motifs. And then from Teresa Wentzler, this is Rose Tree in Bloom. And it's funny because my friend said to me, he's like, I don't think I've ever seen that pattern before. And I will say, I'm not sure I've seen this one before. I have looked at the chart. This is a standard Teresa Wentzler design. There are a total of 33 symbols in this chart, 20 of which, so almost a full 2/3 of this, are blends. So 60% of the symbols are blended threads, which Teresa Wentzler is known for. The other interesting thing about this chart is this was originally stitched on 10 count, fill in the blank, I don't remember what it was, because if you stitch it over 10 count fabric, it ends up being a pillow size. Now, will I stitch it over 10 count? I don't know. Who knows? Stay tuned. I know, it looks a lot yellow for me, but for some reason it appealed to me, so it came home. And Teresa Wentzler charts are harder to find these days. Yeah, so that for sure came home. All right. Then they had some boxes that were kits, partial kits. I'm calling them kits that had projects in them that were partially done. And in some cases, like you would have, well, let's just go through the things that are in that bag and we can talk about it. All right. So number one, something that I got very, very excited about, and you will laugh if you've watched my channel for any length of time when you see what this project is. Taya Gouverneur, St. Petersburg, in this plastic case. And I was just like, Taya Gouverneur! Now, this is in the category that there is a partially finished project in here. Let me show you what the partially finished project looks like. Good grief. Hang on a minute. Forgot about this part. I need a bigger board. Look at that. Look at this. Look at this. Look at how much is done. I'm going to hold up the picture again. All right, so there's what it's supposed to look. Look at how much of this is done. And looking at this, I know what the problem is. Whoever started this started in the wrong spot, measured the fabric incorrectly. Who knows what happened? But you see this building here? So this is about, like the edge of this building is just under 3 inches from the edge. On the pattern, that edge is right there. So there's supposed to be another little round building over here, which is in my head when the person who was working on this went, and in my head, all of this is made up in my head, got mad at the project and went, I am done with you, and donated it. So, but look how much, and so it has the remaining kit materials, which I kind of laughed at when I got it home and looked at it properly. Right, so it's a Teresa Wentzler. So it has all the floss cards, which are, you know, dastardly to work with and the bane of anybody who's ever worked on a Teresa Wentzler kit. This is just one of them. And of course, I did think it was very interesting. Whoever worked on this, they added a little more cardboard to the backs of them so that they would be stiffer, which I was like, that's actually a pretty good idea. I might need to do that for mine. Anyway, but she has gone through, you can't tell because I've got this weird light going on, that she has gone through and written in, she's written in numbers. Some of them I think are DMC numbers. Some of them I don't think are. Like there's one on here that says 100. 100 is not a DMC number. I think there's an anchor number, so I probably do need to go through them and confirm that they're DMC numbers. But anyway, if nothing else, right, the hard part about a Teaguvner is that you cannot get the charts separately. They've got these floss cards that do not have the DMC numbers, which I understand why they're doing that. They're doing it so that it makes it harder for people to copy the pattern. I get that, and we all know the level of copyright issues that are going on. Anyway, through all this. Anyway, but I was just thrilled because worst case scenario, I've got the floss cards. I've got a DMC color card. I can match them up myself. And I've got the pattern. But look at how much of this is done. They've got more done of St. Petersburg than I do of Jerusalem. And it looks fantastic. So I have not 100% decided whether I should restart it or once Jerusalem is done, just keep going on this one. But I was in there and I'm like, that's a Teaguvner. Teaguvner did open it, checked to make sure that the cards were there, and went, oh my goodness, you are mine. For anybody who's a Lord of the Rings fan, you will understand when I sort of reference mine, precious. Anyway. Okay. So, yes, I hadn't ordered this. Okay, so that was one. Then, just because I couldn't leave it behind, and I don't know why, and you'll laugh when I tell you about this one. So this is a partial. So there is a chart in here, and a partially done project. So from Chatelaine Designs, this is the graceful sampler. Yes, graceful sampler. It's done on linen. Let me make sure. Yes, that is the correct side. It's one of those where you go like, wait a minute, do I have the right side, wrong side? It's very well done. Look at how much of it is done. Look at how much of it is done. Now, there are no threads for this. And I did look online to see what's remaining. And there's a bunch of words that go in here, but whether or not you wanted to use the words or do whatever you wanted. So what am I planning on doing with this? I'm not planning on finishing this, but surprisingly, I could not leave it behind. So if you are interested in this partially done Chatelaine Designs, I'm offering to more or less give it away. If you are in Canada, I will ship this to you at my cost. If you are not in Canada, if you are willing to pay for the shipping to wherever you are in the world, this can be yours. I will send the chart, and I will send this piece of fabric with all the stitching on it. If you if you are interested in this, just comment down below and use the word graceful, Graceful. And before, not the very next Flosstube, because the next Flosstube that comes out, which should be coming out somewhat shortly after this one, shortly for me. So, you know, at some point in the next 10 days, not that one, but the video after that, which is probably, you know, assume 2 weeks after whenever the next one is, that is when I will go in and I will look at the comments and use the random comment picker for someone if they want this project. It is beautiful. It is, whoever has done it, they've done a beautiful job, and I would say this is probably 2/3 complete. Anyway, yeah, I know. I picked it up, even the worst case scenario, nobody's interested in it. And you know what's going to happen? I will donate it back next year. But I just figured if anybody out there is interested in this, like I say, just drop in a comment and put the word graceful in there, and we'll draw for a winner for this. Probably by sometime in early June. Let's say that. The next one you'll laugh at. Now this one was a little more simple for me. So this is Jan Houtman's, probably Jan is probably how you correctly say it, Flower Bouquet in Green. And based on what I've seen looking at the chart, this picture does this no justice. So I bought this specifically. The dollar value on this particular item was like, I am more than willing to pay that just to get the chart. That is, like, the chart alone, I am willing to pay for that. And this is another case where it wasn't just the chart. So this is a project, it is stitched on Aida. Sorry, I just had to have a moment going, which, and this is where this one is at. All the way to, I would say, not quite the bottom, because clearly on this last bit, it looks like she's, I swear, it looks like there's like one more row, and then like that first strip all the way down is complete. Now, so this is done on a cream Aida. I have no intention of finishing this. I am, however, keeping the chart. So if anybody out there, for any reason, is interested in getting their hands on this partially stitched Jan Houtman design, you're welcome to it. Just comment bouquet, B-O-U-Q-U-E-T, and this is yours, because like I say, I'm keeping the chart. Don't kid yourself. As you saw, this is a gigantic design. So I'm just getting everything tucked back in there. All right. Then I did pick up this Riolis kit, which is pansies. This is a full kit, as many of them are. Welcome to the brown fabric. So this is 14 count flax and Aida. So I'm never gonna use that fabric. It does come, whoops. This is not quite all of them, but it does come with all of the floss, which is not DMC. I laughed because the friend that I went with really does enjoy pansies and was kind of like, where was that? And why do you have it and not me? And I kind of said, hey, I'm allowed to stitch things first. I'm not going to use the fabric. Anyway, he said, I saw it first. I picked it up. And, you know, I'm allowed to stitch pansies too. In my most grown-up voice. This one, I put it into the bag that it's currently living in. So this is another one of the partials. So this is a kit that some of the stuff has been used. Some of the fabric has been used. Some of the threads have been used. Some of the beads have been used. You know, someone has clearly stitched 2 of these 6 ornaments. So this is from Dimensions Gold. And my answer was, I don't care. So the ornaments I like are the deer, the cardinal, the bells, and the poinsettia. So what am I going to stitch on these? I don't know. And I know that online that there are, somewhere I've seen it, I may have previously downloaded it, but if not, I have friends who know people who are really experienced with dimensions kits. I'm pretty sure that somewhere online there is a conversion from dimensions kit floss numbers to, I'm calling it DMC, maybe Anchor, I think it's DMC. Anyway, doesn't matter. You know, same thing. I've got floss left over. So worst case scenario, I can, you know, get my DMC color card out and figure out the close enough for my purposes. So yeah, was very happy to get that one. And again, like I say, I think the fabric in here is a cream Aida, which I was never going to, highly unlikely that I would ever do mine on a cream Aida. So again, I don't really care. The fact that it's a partial, that you don't get a full kit, I don't care. There were full kits of Dimensions kits, and in fact, you know, because I was there volunteering earlier, I laughed because I was talking to a friend of mine about the Dimensions, one of these friends that, you know, does know about Dimensions kits, and she was like, are any of them the ones that I care about? And I'm like, well, I don't know, but, you know, we can talk about it. None of them were the ones that she was really anxious to get her hands on. You know, but she was working on Friday, so she couldn't come, and, you know, it was okay because she had the gist of the Dimensions kits that were there. But another friend, she was mentioning it to someone else we both know, and she sort of texted me back and she said, oh my goodness, can you please pick up this one for this other friend that we have? And I said, sure, no problem. And anyway, so it turned out she was also coming on the Friday, but she was arriving later than me, so it was really quite funny. When my friend and I were getting ready to pay for our stuff and exit, you know, she hadn't arrived yet, and, you know, it's totally fine. I was totally fine, you know, paying for the thing. Anyway, but I literally just paid and had shown the lady as I was exiting that I had paid for my stuff when I got the text from this other friend who said, I'm here, I'm looking for you, where are you? It was quite funny. So we did manage to get the handoff done while we were there, which was great. So yeah, that was great. All right. Then I picked up this Tanya Berlin Habsburg lace. This is a canvas work piece, and it came complete with the Valdani pearl cotton size 12. I have read a little bit of this pattern, and it says that I will only need 1 ball of this. So there's no canvas included, but I did get the chart and the ball of Valdani. And then, I know, and then the last one that I picked up is from Lorene Salt Needle Arts. It's called Bargello Muse. And this one, so it did come with all of the kit materials, and I have confirmed that everything I need to do this project is included in the bag, and the canvas, of which the person has done the outside border. So the outside border is complete. It just needs the fill-in. Everything is in the kit. I thought this was an awesome deal, and so it came home to live at my house. All right. Then the next category of items, it's really getting dark in here anyway. Look at how shadowy it is over there. The next category of items is absolutely fully finished cross-stitch projects. So there were a couple of boxes. It's like, yeah, there were a couple of boxes of absolutely 100% fully finished cross-stitch projects. Framed, everything. Some of them came home with me. So the first one is this lavender and lace. I'm going to get it wrong. Angel of Light? Angel of Freedom? I'll look it up. I'll put it in the notes below, but this is a lavender and lace. It is done on linen. The linen is a little more brown than what you're seeing in the camera, or at least what I'm seeing in the camera. So I don't know that I would have done it on that brown. I probably would have gone for something a little more gray, but it is fully stitched, ready to go. Now, do I love the molding that this is in, that this has been framed in? No, I don't love this. So I now need to take some very specific measurements of what this opening needs to be. And then all I'm going to do is keep my eye out for any time I'm at a Michael's for their $8 frames and see if I can't find a frame. Other than that, the glass is on there. There's mats in there. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And then the one that I went, mine. Wait till you see it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So this is the Sweet Pea Gazebo by the Victoria Sampler. The words on it say, all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all. This has been stitched, as you can see, on a light blue fabric, which is not the called for fabric. It is triple matted with a darker green, white, and this is navy with this white molding. Oh my goodness, I just about had a heart attack. I have this chart in my stash. And I've always put it off because I am not good at all the ribbon embroidery. So here comes a close-up. Gosh, there's reflections in 12 different ways. I don't know how to... Anyway. So there is what it looks like. Oh my goodness, I love it. 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 So now that I've shown it on a floss tube, it can get hung up on the wall. My friend kind of said, and where are you hanging that? And I'm like, trust me, there is a spot for it. I don't care. I'll have to figure out where it is, but there's a spot for this. Whoever stitched it did a lovely, lovely job. There are no initials on it, which makes me very, very sad. On either one of these projects, there are no initials of the person who stitched it. At the moment, there's no information on the back of them as to who stitched it, which makes me very sad. Even if I had some initials, I would sort of at least I know that, you know, initial worked on this. Anyway, so I don't know how they got to being donated. I don't know the reasoning behind it. So if someone gifted this to a friend, relative, and thought that it was treasured, and if they happen to be watching this Flosstube and is now crushed that said friend, relative has donated it or gotten rid of it, please know that it has come to a home where it will be treasured. I'm sorry that if you gifted it to someone that they didn't enjoy it, but I am thrilled to have them. They will be hanging in my home, so thank you much for all of your hard work. All right. Then I did pick up this petty point just because I have relatives in my family who did a lot of petty point. This was not framed. It has been attached with the backing fabric, which is appropriate backing fabric for petty point. Really, again, this is just one. I just need to measure the dimensions of this, put it in my phone, and go find a frame for it, and then this is done. I think it looks lovely. I'm having that moment going, I think it's this way. I'll have to look carefully to get the directions, directionally which way it goes, but I think it's lovely. Like I say, it reminds me, well, clearly, none of my relatives have done this piece. Yeah, I think it's lovely. Again, I just need a molding to put around it, and this one's ready to go on the wall. All right, the last cross-stitching item before we get to the other categories. So like I say, I volunteered the Friday afternoon of the sale and all day Saturday and Sunday. The funny thing is that on Saturday, so I've been there, so I went shopping myself on Friday in the morning. And then I volunteered Friday afternoon, all day Saturday. Saturday at 4 o'clock, I was wandering around the area that I was volunteering at. And I looked down in this box and went, wait, what? And hauled out an item and went, So I waited another half hour. I left it in its box. Nobody did anything with it. So before, with the last half hour on Saturday, I picked this up and paid for it. So from the top, this is going to be hard to tell. Okay, it's hard to read. It says Tulip Time Frame, which to many of you, this may not mean anything, but to me, I went, wait, what? And picked up the box and went, oh my goodness, it really is. So years and years and years ago, Just Nan did these enamel frames for really small cross-stitch projects. So the interior dimensions of this are 3 by 3. So I have this chart. But when these came out, I could not afford the frame. And in fact, the original price of the frame is on the back, which we'll hold it up and see if you can read it. $43.95. So like I say, when this came out, spending $44 plus tax was not in the budget. It was an absolute no-go, never going to happen. And of course, these were limited editions. You can't get them now. I don't think you can even get the Tulip Time pattern anymore. That's how old it is. But I have it. I have the pattern. I came home and I checked my X-Stitch app and went, yes, there it was. And it told me this. Yep. I was like, oh yeah, I've got it. Funnily enough, you're supposed to stitch this on a lavender linen. So like I say, this linen, I need to figure out whether it's 28 or 32 because you do need to stitch it on 32 to make it fit. But I had them, I'm going like, ooh, I wonder. So I haven't done that step yet. So I was just thrilled. I'm like, I mean, I'd been there for days. I shopped. I didn't see it. Anyway, so here is what the frame looks like. It's got an easel back. I am so excited about this. So Tulip Time also needs to go into the queue and get kitted up for stitching at the library projects because again, 3x3, come on. It was so exciting. It was so exciting. I'm still going, this is one of my best purchases. I mean, after the frame stuff and, well, after, anyway, I was very excited. I was very excited to find it late on Saturday. Okay. Now we get into the non-cross stitch related items. So I am going to take one little detour. This is going to be a very lengthy video. I'm sorry about that. I will say that prior to the sale, I had gone to Michael's because I might have to stop here and go turn on the light somewhere because this is getting ridiculous in here. It looks not horrible on camera, but I really do feel like I need to go do something. You know what? Entertain yourselves for a minute while I scramble across and see if I can't turn on the light over here. Okay, it's a little better. It looked not horrible on camera, but in real life, I was like, man, this is getting really, really dark. Okay. Let's bring the bag back. Okay. So, previously to all of this, I had gone to Michael's because I needed to get, wait for it, some yellow, that's correct, you heard that, yellow yarn. And so I picked up this Snuggly Wuggly in goodness knows what color. It just has a color number. It doesn't have a name. Oh, it does have a name. Wait for it. It's called yellow. Anyway, so I picked this up. And some of you are going, I'm sorry, you picked up what? So there is a crochet along that I am hoping to work on. I'm already, it started a week ago Wednesday. So the week 1 crocheting and the week 2 patterns have come out. And so far I have crocheted 0 stitches. I've done nothing, which is fine. You know me, and fill in the blank along means in your own time, at your own pace, at, you know, whenever. But I do agree, there were 3 yellows called for in, like up front, they told you the materials that you needed to get, and I looked at those and went, no. I agree that there does need to be some yellow. I agree that the centers of daisies should be done in yellow. I don't think they should be done in mustard. Anyway, so they needed there needs to be some adjustments. So the 3 yellows in my version of this have changed to 2 yellows, and I've added a completely different color, which I need to map that out too, which is why I can't start immediately because I got to do the mapping part. But I do agree that I needed 1 more yellow. Hard to believe. Now, at Michael's, they didn't have anything else that appealed to me because it needed to be paler than this. So one of my goals when I went to the Fabric and Yarn sale was that I was looking for a very pale yellow yarn. And I did okay. So I picked up this, so it was a package of 3. And in case you're wondering how good, like, you know, there's my price. I paid $4 for this. I bought it specifically for the pale yellow. But I do agree, I think they did a very good job of putting 3 things together. This, you know, the pale yellow, this variegated, which has pale yellow, pink, and green, and the white. I thought it was a very nice combination. And depending on how much yellow I end up using, there is a distinct possibility that I will try to come up with something to use the rest of these for, whether it's a scarf or, you know, hat, who knows what I'm going to end up doing with them, that I can then donate somewhere. My mom knits for a charity that specifically does toques and mitts, for donation for to be given out to those less fortunate around Christmas time. So, you know, who knows? We'll see what I end up doing with that. And then I did stumble across this partial ball, which as far as I was concerned was exactly the same color, which meant for sure I would have enough to use my 2 yellows. So was very happy with that. Now I can start really planning where my colors are going for my crochet along, and hopefully at some point we'll be in a position where I can show you. All right, then I picked up a couple of random things. So this is also a Loops and Threads. I don't think it's being made anymore. So it is Country Loom. So it is a super bulky, a super bulky. And there was only 1 ball of this, so I only have the 1. So it's not like you can do an entire project, but I can totally see, you know, if you had a solid colored shawl, poncho, something or other, and just did trim in this. I would need to be very careful because, like I say, I only have the 1 ball. But that's the concept for how this is going to get used. See, it's a concept. At least I have one. This one was funny. I got this. So these are my colors. It's showing up as black on camera, but it really is like navy. There's a navy, a dark blue, aqua, and teal. Those are my colors. So this is a Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. Now, we don't have Hobby Lobby in Canada. I really got it so that I could, again, find something, some small project that I could do with this to decide whether I actually liked working with it. You know, like I say, this is not enough to do a large project, but, you know, we'll see what it turns out to. I just wanted it because it's a Hobby Lobby and see how I liked it. And then the big purchase was this bag. So there's a total of 9 balls of this. So 450 grams. Let's get one of the pretty ones. I did look this up. I got a steal of a deal, let me tell you. So this is, I'm gonna brutalize this, so apologies to anybody who can pronounce it correctly. Filatura di Crossa Sympathy. So it is a wool mohair blend with a little bit of acrylic. So there's a little, you can't really see it, but there is a little bit of loft halo effect to it, but not terribly fuzzy. But again, those are totally my colors. Do I know what I'm doing with this? No, not surprisingly. There was only one package of this, and like I say, I was comfortable with the bag of this because I went. There's nine balls for a total of. I did the math before. Like there's about 1350 yards of yarn in this. So that's enough to do something decent with. So yeah, so this was a come home with me. Yeah. My friend and I did yarn second after we did our cross stitching stuff. You know, because both of us said that we were going to be well behaved. She was quite well behaved. I was less well behaved, but I was very happy that I got the yellow. Those two other warns weren't specific, and I got a steal of a deal on that bag of 9 balls, so that was really great. All right. Then we went to quilting fabric. I'm not a quilter. Why did we go to quilting? Well, because Cheryl has now trained me to go look at fabric for a variety of reasons. So we're blaming this part on Cheryl too. She enjoys when I blame her for things. So here is the stack. I'm going to go through them one by one. I have plans for some of this. This is not just not all of this is random. I do have distinct plans for a variety of these fabrics, which hopefully over the course of the remainder of 2024, you will see some of these fabrics hopefully showing up in certain things. I make no promises. This is a largely no promise channel. I have concepts. I have concepts as to how this is going to get used. So this you're going to find entertaining. Welcome to a lovely gingham fabric with daisies on it. See, daisy centers are supposed to be yellow. See, not quite that dark, but you know, daisies. Okay, on camera, so this is actually a gray with, this is actually purple. I folded all these fabrics up before. I bought them as rolled fabric. I took them out of all of their things. I'm still looking, going, why did you fold it that way? So a randomly paisley. Probably none of you will be surprised at this one. Just a basic navy with it's not exactly a white dot, and it's not exactly, you know, anyway, for all intents and purposes, pretend it's a polka dot. Anybody see some themes going on? Now we're moving into the, okay, not all of it. Actually, let's do these two before we get into the other ones. Look at this. I love this. Love, 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 love. More than makes any sense. Okay, now we're going to do the Christmas winter time concepts. So let's just navy with these silvery villagey scenes. Doesn't that look lovely? See, there's Santa and the reindeer. Lovely, lovely. You know, your basic blue fabric with a lot of snowflakes on it. This is more navy with silvery, swirly, snowflakey things. So to me, these look like ivy leaves. Whether my gardening knowledge is not great, so, you know, if anybody looks at that and go, how could you possibly think that? In my head, these are ivy leaves. So are these. Wreath on, wait for it, a white background. There are a lot of fabrics that are similar to this, but that's actually a cream background. I was very excited that they had this and that this was a white background. Red poinsettias on navy. Bells. And poinsettias. So yeah, more fabric than I was expecting. But like I say, I at least do have plans for maybe not all of it, but at least a good chunk of it. And thus endeth the stashquisitions from the Ujamaa Grandma's fabric and yarn sale. Was I well behaved and restrained? No. And the funny thing is, in fact, I was talking to my mom because I was over at my parents' place this afternoon, doing our Mother's Day together, which anyway, I'll maybe tell that story at the end. Anyway, I was over there this afternoon and my mom was laughing because she said, it's been several years since I've actually gone to the Ujamaa Grandma's. She's been very good at donating now that we have the system, worked out where she just gives the stuff to me and I'm responsible for getting it to the donation drop off at Ujamaa Grandma's. So we've got our system worked out. She's very good about donating. I too go through my stuff and come up with donations that I donate to Ujamaa Grandma's. Anyway, so she's kind of laughing, going like, I don't go because I don't want to be tempted. Because she's like, I would go and I would be tempted and I would have all these ideas, which at this point I know, based on the stuff I already have in my house, would never come to fruition. So I just don't even go. I do need to make sure that I have a little codicil attached to my will that says, dear executor of mine, when I pass away, depending on how old I am and where I'm at and the level of my stash, all of the crafting stuff needs to be donated to Ujamaa Grandma's because there might be a decent chance that a lot of it came from there. Anyway, not to be morbid or anything, but it's always good to have a plan for your stash. All right, so if you're just here for the stashquisitions and you don't want to hear the stories from behind the scenes at the Ujamaa Grandma's, thanks for stopping by. I look forward to seeing you next time on my next Flosstube. And like I say, if you are interested in either of those two partially completed, whether it's the Chatelaine Designs one, which the keyword is graceful, or the Jan Houtman one, which the keyword is bouquet, thanks for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Don't forget safety first, be healthy, be happy, all that good stuff. All right, for those of you that are here for the behind the scenes at the Ujamaa Grandma's, don't get me wrong, I have always recognized that to put on an event like the Fabric and Yarn Sale by Ujamaa Grandma's takes a huge number of volunteers. A huge number of volunteers and a lot of man hours. Now that I myself have volunteered, don't kid yourself, it takes, wait for it, a huge number of volunteers and a lot of man hours and a lot of work. And so to me, it was fascinating to see how much stuff was coming in and how everything was being pulled together. There were certain areas that they had been working in advance, that they had already received donations in advance of the official drop-off dates of collections from, I don't know where, I didn't ask any of those questions, getting stuff sorted and priced and all that kind of good stuff. But even then, you know, so I was there volunteering the previous weekend, which was sort of, the Saturday was the first donation drop-off day, and stuff was coming in and getting it sorted. And I said to one of the other ladies working in the area, going like, I swear every time I turn around, like I've just finished, you know, getting a box sorted, and I turn around and like 3 or 4 have arrived. Like I feel like we're not making inroads. In fact, we're falling behind. We did get everything sorted. It was, you know, so it was fun seeing all of that stuff and seeing all the people and everybody's willingness to come and contribute, because it is a great cause to raise money for. I will put a link to the Ujamaa Grandma's website if you just want to read up on the charity and all the things that they do, because it really is a great organization. So volunteered the previous weekend, did have the opportunity to come in and volunteer for some of the other days during the week, but not full days, you know, through the sorting and some of the pricing and getting stuff set up, and, you know, getting all of the tables that are set up was just like, that alone is a feat in and of itself. And then, of course, coming to the sale day, and, you know, I will say, not surprisingly, Friday is one of the busiest days. Like, the people who know what this sale is about and have been before, generally are predominantly Friday shoppers, because they've been before and they know what the sale is. I will say, like from a cross-stitching perspective, the amount of cross-stitching stuff this year was dramatically less than what there was last year. And I will say, given that every year it's based on the donations that come in, you know, you don't know what you're going to get in advance. What gets donated is what gets donated. So there was less. As far as I'm concerned, I still walked out with good stuff that I was thrilled to get. And I will say, on this, when was it? I think it was like late on the Friday afternoon, probably about 3:30. One of the ladies from the Stitching at the Library was there, and I spotted her. That's not true. She came over to me and she said, "Where am I going?" And so I explained to her, like, here's where the fabric is, here's where the floss, right? There were bags and bags and bags and bags of floss. Bags and bags and bags of floss. We'll get to that in a minute. And like, here's where the kits are, here's where the patterns are, here's where the partials are, you know, here's your sections, you know, go forth and have a look. And so off she went. And, you know, a little while later, I looked over and she was going through the box where the patterns are. And, was it patterns or kits? Anyway, one of patterns, kits, one of those, it must have been kits. And she was kind of going it through quite quickly. And I went over to her and said, "You are not doing that correctly." And she looked at me and I said, "You should really go through that box carefully." And filled in her name. And she kind of looked at me oddly and went, "Okay." So she started all over again. And she came back to me and she was like, "There's a Jeanette Douglas in there with the thread pack." And I was like, yes, there is. She's like, "The thread pack alone." I'm like, "It is not just the thread pack." She's like, "Yeah, no, it's the tartan thread pack." And I went, no, it's not. It's a full kit. The linen is in there. And she went, "What?" And I opened up the baggie and went, "See, linen. You have now just picked up yourself a full kit for that Jeanette Douglas project. She's like, okay, I just like, for the thread pack alone, it was worth it. And I'm like, yeah, no, you've got the chart, the thread pack, the linen, and the charms that went with it. It was a full kit. Anyway, she's like, there's Shakespeare's Peddler in here. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like, that's the little flippy through. No. That is not the correct choice in that section. You really do need to go through that. So it was quite funny. You know, so I will say that there were several other people from the Stitching at the Library who moseyed their in through their sale. You know, there were people who came and said, I don't think there's anything here for me, which is great. There are some people who were thrilled with their purchases. You know, it's like I say, it's a mix of things. The fact that I had to buy that frame on the Saturday at 4:30, I was like, anyway, clearly it was meant for me because I'm the one who found it. Anyway, so that was fun. Had a variety of conversations with other stitchers as they were looking at things. Like I laughed, there was a lady, she was going through some of the floss bags and she was opening them and smelling them. And she kind of looked over and caught me. She's like, I'm just trying to see if they're from a smoker's home. And I'm like, no, I know exactly what you're doing. I'm a stitcher. I know what you're doing. I know you're trying to figure out if it came from a smoker's home. You know, there could be stuff coming from a smoker's home, but, you know, if you're someone who's really sensitive to smoke, it would not necessarily be your best purchase. So when we began the sale on Friday morning, so I was in the craft section, which is where the needlework is, but it's called the craft section. And as far as I'm concerned, craft section means everything that does not fit into quilting fabric, general yarn fabric, or general fabric yarn, notions, or patterns. And the cross stitch patterns still ended up in crafts because all of the quilting patterns, sewing patterns, macrame patterns, every other kind of pattern you could possibly think they had an entire section all to themselves. Anyway, so when we start, well, I know this because on Thursday before we closed up, I was there for that part just to make sure everything was ready for Friday. We had every table was filled. So we had 10 of the long banquet tables that it was completely filled, absolutely filled to the brim. And beneath every single one of those tables were boxes. It was completely filled with another layer of boxes of stuff. By Saturday, like kind of our goal for Saturday, about halfway through the Saturday hours, was to make sure that everything that was in a box below had made its way up onto the top of the banquet tables. And so that all we had underneath left was empty boxes. And so, for example, on the Friday morning, like when the sale opened on the Friday, we had 3 apple boxes filled with hoops and Q-snaps. 3 boxes. By the end of the sale, I want to say we maybe had 8 hoops left. Like they just, man, like I kept turning around and going like, wait a minute, like how did another box of hoops somehow get sold? Anyway, the hoops went fast. We had probably 4 apple boxes of floss, which had been sorted into like, and they were random bags, right? Here's like a miscellaneous bag of DMC. Here's a miscellaneous bag of Anchor. There was a fantastic bag of Karen water lilies in there, which I left for somebody else to find. I felt like on Friday I had gotten a lot of good stuff, so I shouldn't take every good thing that I knew was in there. So I left the Karen water lilies for somebody else to find. There were Threadworks. There were bags of Threadworks flosses and Threadworks. What was the other one? There was something else. There were ones that like we had to look up because we were, you know, they had been labeled and we were like, we don't even know what these things are. Like there were certainly some thread gatherer specialty fibers that, quite frankly, I'd never even heard of. You know, but we made sure that all of those ended up in a bag, and it was clearly labeled what it was. We had boxes and boxes and boxes, four boxes full of bags of floss of some kind. And it's quite funny because on Saturday afternoon, there was a guy that came over into our section, and he kind of said, where did you move the boxes of floss? And I kind of chuckled and said, see that little box over there? That's all we have left. And he went, what? So he had been there on Friday. This was his first time at this particular sale. Anyway, this came up as we were chatting, and he sort of came and he's like, I did not prepare well for this sale. I did not do a good job. I'm going to be a lot better prepared next year. So he is on the list of, he is coming next year, and he's going to be a little more prepared for what he's coming for. But anyway, it was quite funny. He's just like, where did it all go? And I'm like going, people bought it because it was a good deal. Anyway, it was quite funny. So we had that conversation, you know, where was all this? He had a couple of things he was looking for. And right, because he'd been there on Friday, he'd seen the overflowing boxes of stuff and all the boxes of the hoops. And he's like, because I think he did mention, he's like, is that the same with the hoops? Like, because I only see that little bit over there. I'm like, yeah. It goes, it sells. We sell a lot of stuff. There were a couple of women in there that, you know, so we had a whole bunch of needlepoint kits that were partially completed. Like they were absolutely partials. And I will say, I don't think we even knew whether or not everything was in the kit, which was clearly stated. And quite frankly, when you go to the sale, what's in the bag is what you get. And we don't necessarily make sure that everything in there, if it was donated in a bag, sort of saying like, this is the kit, that's how it goes out. We don't go through all of that because, quite frankly, there's so much stuff coming in, we don't have time to do that. But there were a couple of women that walked out with armloads of those partial needlepoint kits, where I really wanted to say, and what are you doing with them? Are you actually completing them? But anyway, I didn't have the opportunity to ask them those questions. But there was a lady that came in one day, and she had picked up a partial needlepoint kit at the previous year's sale with sunflowers, and she'd finished it. And so she was back at the sale hoping to get another partially completed needlepoint kit that she could then take home and finish. So the sunflower one, she'd finished it, and she's like, I just need to sort of, you know, sew a fabric thing around it and just hang it on a door. She's like, it's great. She was back finding her next project, which I think is fantastic. We had like a huge amount of faux fur, which I just kind of went like, anyway. And to me, one of the funny things was on Friday, very close to like probably in the last hour of the sale, this guy showed up. And so one of the things that you do is like in each of the individual areas as you grab stuff, you have one of the volunteers like me who kind of marks it down on your sheet what your total value is of the stuff that you got out of that area. And you have to do it in each of the areas because, quite frankly, how everything gets priced is by section. So you could bring me stuff from General Fabrics and I wouldn't necessarily know what to do with it. And if you took something from my section, like if you took a hoop from my section and you went over to Quilting Fabrics and said, how much is this hoop? The ladies in Quilting would go, I don't know. We're in Quilting. Anyway, anyway, so he came over to me and he had this, little armload. He was a tall guy, a little armload of faux fur, so added up the stuff, put it on his page, and then and so here's another thing. So fully tatted, arm sleeves, both arms fully tatted. He's got like the big black ring things in his ears and, all that kind of stuff. And in my head, I'm like going, what in the world are you doing with faux fur? Like, I don't know. So I said to him, because it was at the very tail end, it wasn't like at its busiest. And I said to him, it's like, do you mind if I ask you a question? And he was like, sure. I'm like, so what do you do with faux fur? I'm like going, I don't, like, I can't even come up with anything to do with faux fur. So what do you do with faux fur? Anyway, so he was using it to make costumes. And he went into he was thrilled to talk about it and went into great detail about all the options that he was considering of what he was going to do with the pieces of faux fur that he got and all this kind of stuff, and probably more detail than I cared about, but he was really excited about it, which was great, right? Who isn't happy to see somebody who's really excited about the hobby and crafting that they do? I thought it was great. Anyway, so we were having this conversation and he says, like, so earlier today, were there larger pieces of faux fur? And I didn't have the heart to really break it to him that we had bolts, like tall. Well, I don't know if they were taller than me, but probably at least as tall as me. I'm not the tallest person. At least as tall as me, bolts of faux fur. So I didn't have the heart to break it to him that if he had been there in the morning, like the amount of faux fur that he could have walked out of there at a ridiculously phenomenal price. I thought that was cruel and mean to tell him what that was, but I did assure him that there had been very large pieces of faux fur there at the beginning of the sale. And he did say, like, I came as soon as I got off work. And he said, so and again, he said, I will make a note that I need to take the day off work next year so that I can come early in the day so I can shop at this sale. I thought it was fantastic. My friend and I had a bit of a chuckle because, when we were having our lunch, I will say that this year, I don't know whether I just wasn't paying attention in previous years. There were a lot of men, and not just the husbands along to be the pack mule men, although we did have some of those. There were a lot of men there shopping. Like, there was a guy that came to our area. He had his daughter with him. She's like little. And he was there to pick up macrame stuff. There, like, if the wife, sister, mother, like whatever, girlfriend, like if there was anybody else around there, I didn't see them. He was in the craft area. Came up with his stuff. And anyway, I didn't ask him what he was going to be doing with it, but it was very interesting. So a lot more men there that I had seen in previous years. There was, I did have the opportunity to meet a few of Cheryl's quilting friends. So I'm one of the stitching friends. Any one of Cheryl's quilting friends had heard of me. Little concerned about how some of those stories go, but we'll have a chance later to catch up on those ones. But anyway, so I met some of Cheryl's quilting friends. One of the funny stories is that one of her friends said, "Oh my goodness, are you the Judy that she talked into crocheting?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm that Judy." And she said, "Is there any chance that you could crochet me a pair of slippers? Like, you would crochet them and I would buy them from the Bags, Babies, and Beyond sale, which is their October sale, which I go to and shop at as well. Is there any chance that you could make me a pair of slippers and you'll donate them and I'll buy them from the Bags, Babies, and Beyond?" And I was like, and she goes, "Because Cheryl won't." And so I went, sure. And she went, really? I'm like, sure. Like, I don't think the slippers would be terribly complicated. I said to her, I was like, you'll have to find the pattern you want. There's a bunch of different patterns for slippers. So you figure out what the pattern is that you want. We'll talk, and doesn't look like it's overly complicated to me. So yes, I think I can crochet you a pair of slippers. So then apparently I'm clearly a better friend than Cheryl is, because I'm willing to crochet the slippers and Cheryl isn't. Cheryl was standing there while we were having this entire conversation. She's like, wait a minute, what's going on? This isn't how this is supposed to work. Anyway, the funny thing is that friend and I caught up on Sunday, close to the end of the sale. And, so I said, don't forget. And she said, like, I'm not coming up with it, like, in the next week. I'm tired. And I said, no, it's too close to the sale. You need recovery time and all that kind of stuff. But you can't show up like a week before the Bags, Babies, and Beyond sale and say, here's the pattern I want. That's not going to work for me either. So at some point in the summer, if you could, tell me what pattern you want, that would be great. And then we can get on this. And she said, like, yes. So you really are willing to make me the slippers? And I said, yeah, I'm absolutely willing to make you the slippers. And I said, we'll figure out to make sure that they fit correctly, because there's nothing worse than a slipper that doesn't fit well. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, because I'm not willing to make you a slipper that doesn't fit you well. Like, that's not good. Anyway, she's like, well, I might ask you to make more than one pair. I said, well, let's get through the prototype and then we can talk. But, if it goes well, I have no reason to say that, it can't be more than one pair. I say that now. Let's see how the first pair goes. So that was a funny conversation. One of the other interesting, from the post that Grandma Ujamaa said, so this is not official, this is unaudited, not from Ujamaa Grandmas, but my recollection is, and I should have probably confirmed it, is the gross amount that we made at the sale was $142,000. That's the gross. Now, it's before we pay the expenses, including the rental of the venue and etc. But $142,000 from a 3-day sale. It was great. It was really great. And at the end of this, I am hoping to tack on a few pictures from the Ujamaa Grandma's Instagram / Facebook accounts about the sale. So yeah, that was really great. At the end of the sale, there are charities who register with Ujamaa Grandmas. And once we get through the official sale, those charities are allowed to come in and take whatever they want for free. For free. And trust me, there was stuff left at the end of the sale that those charities quite frankly went to town on. There were working sewing machines, not new fancy all bells and whistles sewing machines, but there were sewing machines. And I know for sure at least one charity went, I think they teach people how to sew so that they've got a skill and all this kind of stuff, right? For them to get a free sewing machine, that was great. Anyway, they come in, they do stuff. There were some charities there that I helped them gather their boxes of fabric and load the vehicles. And like there was one charity, like they had an SUV full of stuff for their charity, which was great. So I think, again, so don't quote me, this is not official. This is my recollection, which is completely fallible. So I think there were approximately 34 registered charities who came in at the end of the sale to take stuff for their charities for free. So in my head, like, man, take that $142,000 and add to that the value of all the things that those charities can do with the donations they received. Even at that point, there was still stuff left. And this is where I don't know, because I wasn't there on the final Monday of cleanup. there were some additional charities that were coming in who, as far as I knew, don't quote me on this because I wasn't there, would end up and coming and taking what was left, so that essentially by the end of the sale, you know, everything had been sold to someone or donated to a charity. There are a few things in certain areas where, you know, some valuable stuff that they were like, you know, we're not going to donate this, we're going to keep this for next year's sale, and there was some of that. But yeah, like it was fantastic. It was fabulous seeing what was going on behind the scenes. Cheryl did come over and say to me, will you ever forgive me for convincing you to volunteer for an event in the year where it is like the coldest we've ever had? Because it was freezing. The previous year, generally, so it was at the same venue and everybody was sweltering to death. This year, I was freezing to death. So, you know, over the course of like the week leading up, I had learned that I needed to be well layered. So, tights underneath the jeans with the thermal socks and the boots, and a tank top, a sweater, and a down jacket is kind of what I was wearing. Not like the -30 down jacket, but like one of those lightweight packable down jackets. That's what I was wearing. It was quite funny. And she knew I was cold. Anyway, so she convinced me, and it was freezing. I still survived. I do expect, Cheryl, don't get excited. I do expect that I will try and volunteer next year again. However, as always, it will be work dependent. So depending on how work life is going, what my availability will be is unknown. So it could be that I have opportunity to do a lot of volunteering, or it could be I'm taking the morning off to attend the sale and going straight back to work. So no volunteering. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it was fascinating. It was interesting meeting people, talking to them, finding out how they were crafting. When I picked up that dimensions kit for a friend, it was really funny because there was a lady in the area and she's like, oh, I've done that one. It looks fabulous when it's completed. It is just fantastic. I was like, wait, thank you so much. Anyway, it was quite funny. So yeah, in there seeing all the stuff, helping with some of the cleanup late on the Sunday once the charities had all gone, and taking down the banquet tables, pulling stuff out, getting all that kind of cleaned up. So all in all, it was an interesting time. Like I say, I would like to volunteer again. Next year we'll have to see what the schedule looks like. But worst case scenario, I'm fully planning on shopping at the Ujamaa Grandma's. Next year I'm going to try to be well behaved. Oh, I was the person, so those, the framed pieces, when my friend and I were checking out, it was quite funny. So there were needlepoint pictures of Little Boy Blue and Pinky, and then there was another blue and white porcelain type thing. That as I was exiting after I had purchased my stuff and was leaving for lunch with my friend, there was a lady just sort of sitting out in the lobby area. And I said, oh, I think it's so great you found something. And she's like, these are treasures. Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe that I found these. These are going home. These will be on the wall today. Like, I can't believe I found these. These are amazing. Oh my goodness. Like, I couldn't believe when I saw them. Anyway, so we had a really great conversation about that and how thrilled she was. So yeah, I was thrilled with the two that I got. That blue and white one she had looked at, I had looked at, and it was one where I said, you're walking out with two really good pictures. Like, you cannot be a hog. You cannot take everything. So like the blue and white one she picked up, I was like, if that was still there, like on Sunday, I probably would have said, well, clearly it was meant for me, but it wasn't, it was gone. It went to a home where it was going to be treasured. there was like, I want to say, like, did Mirabilia do a Cinderella one? Like, I don't know if it was Mirabilia or, like, anyway, it was like, it was a big one, and it was complete and framed and everything. That one I know went fairly quickly because it wasn't there when I got back from lunch. There was a really beautiful one with teddy bears in a beautiful, like, it had been framed fabulously well. Like, I thought it was lovely. It didn't go until Saturday, which surprised me, because I kind of went, anybody who's going through that, like, if you, anybody you know who had a nursery that was maybe, you know, anyway, I thought it was lovely. There's no nursery in this home, so it didn't belong in this one. So, but it was gone. It was gone by end of day Saturday. I didn't manage to catch whoever it was that ended up purchasing it, but like, it was lovely. It was a really lovely piece. So I hope it went to a good home. You know, so it was really interesting to see all of that stuff. I was the one who went to pick up the framed pieces, because it actually, there was another, the Rotary Club was collecting for an event that they do, and they've found at their event needlework pieces don't sell. So they've reached out to Grandma Ujamaa and said, we're just going to collect all of the donated needlework pieces, and can you send somebody over? So I actually got to go over and look at them. We didn't take everything. You know, there were a few pieces, and I did, so I will say, I did have Cheryl on FaceTiming with me as we were looking at things, so that we could decide together what we felt we should bring to the sale. Although, as they were loading up my car with the stuff, I feel like there were a few extra pieces that got added to the box. I think they were gone by the end of the sale, so I think it worked out okay. But it was fascinating seeing what they had. We didn't necessarily take everything. There were a few things that I went, this is, you know, like somebody's burr sampler that was really specific. You know, that one I kind of went, I can't see how that's going to work for someone. You know, in my head, it's like, is somebody going to take it apart and unpick it and restitch there? And I was like, I just can't see that happening. So there were some things that we didn't take, and the Rotary Club, you know, dealt with them at the end. But yeah, it was interesting go over. I'm secretly hoping, I want to reach out and say, can I do the Rotary Club pickup again? Because I feel like we did a good job selecting, you know, because I feel like just about everything that we picked up sold. There was one lavender and lace picture that didn't go, which surprised me. But largely, like everything, all of those framed pieces ended up selling, so I thought that was good. Anyway, we are now, like, we're at over an hour and a half. We're coming up on an hour and 3/4. This is more than anybody wanted to know. So sadly, it was another great time at the Ujamaa Grandma sale. Don't tell Cheryl. They do, if you're in the greater Calgary area, they do have their Bags, Babies, and Beyond event in October. If you're in the greater Calgary area and you want to volunteer, or you want to be up on when these sales are coming, you can go to the Ujamaa Grandma's website and get on their newsletter. So they will tell you in advance when the sales are coming, when the tickets are available. Like, same thing for the Bags, Babies, and Beyond in October. The Friday of the sale, you buy the $2 tickets. It's $2 to get into the event. You buy the $2 ticket on the Friday for time slots, and there's only a certain number of tickets per time slot. My friend is designating me the person who always gets the tickets, because apparently I'm the one who knows how to put the notification in my calendar that says, make sure you're up at 8 o'clock on blah, blah, blah to buy 2 tickets. Spend the big $4. Anyway, so yeah, I will be going to Bags, Babies, and Beyond. I might be contributing things to Bags, Baby, and Beyond this year. which is a new thing for me because Cheryl made me crochet again. Anyway, so as we get closer to the Bags, Babies, and Beyond, I will be letting you know when that is, again, in case you're in the greater Calgary area and you want to attend. All right, with that, let's wrap it up. I hope everybody's doing well. I know this is an atypical Flosstube. If you stayed till the end, good for you. This is a long one. Don't forget, you can always watch it in chunks. And hopefully within the next 10 days, there should be a regular Flosstube that talks about actual stitching and crocheting and that kind of stuff. So I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying healthy. I hope you're finding some time to do some crafting of some kind. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.